Crash and Burn, the Emma Watson story. So this is apparently Hermione, the actress, got into a fight with J.K. Rowling.
Oh dear, it's not a very good time to be Emma Watson, is it? From child actor to indie darling to big budget star, and finally to whiny, controversial and divisive activist, increasingly disconnected from reality and now publicly ridiculed by one of the biggest names in modern culture in what may...
Dude, what a friendship ended. You would think that J.K. Rowling would be best fucking friends with her.
Go down as the most savage dressing down in history. Ever since she exploded onto the big screen with the Harry Potter franchise, her acting has carried her to the very cusp of A-level stardom before it all came to a shuddering halt in one of the most baffling acts of career self-sabotage outside of Rachel Zegler.
It's Hollywood, baby.
A woman who pinned her reputation, her public image, and her entire worldview on whatever happened to be most popular at the time, never considering that the cultural winds might change and what's popular today might not be popular tomorrow. So saddle up, dear viewer, grab your wizarding wands and whatever other stupid shit they use in Harry Potter, and let us examine the crash and burn of Emma Watson. Emma Charlotte Duer Watson was born in Paris, France in 1990 to a pair of wealthy lawyers. So naturally she grew...
Oh, man. Rich kid not knowing shit about anything again. Classic.
Grew up with all the benefits of having wealthy parents, private schooling, tuition, multiple homes, and access to any clubs and interests she wanted to pursue. One of which turned out to be acting. Fuck me, she basically is Hermione Granger. Anyway, by 1999, a series of books about a boy wizard were turning out to be pretty popular, and work soon began on adapting them into a movie franchise. For this, they needed a bunch of child actors to play the three leads, including Hermione. Their searching soon led them to the Oxford Acting School where Watson was studying, and after no fewer than 8 auditions, she was finally cast in the role. And well, all I can say about her early performances is, you can tell that she was a theatre kid, that's for fucking sure.
I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
Okay, to be fair though, I thought they were pretty good.
Piss taken aside though, for a 10-year-old that had never acted in a movie before, I guess she was fine.
I really liked Harry Potter as a kid. I was really into Harry Potter. Like, really into Harry Potter. I had, like, the robes and everything. I got, like, my own wand, like, my own custom wand and everything.
Daniel Radcliffe was way better though. Anyway, you don't need me to tell you that the Harry Potter movies would go on to become a global phenomenon over the next several years, keeping Watson and her co-stars so busy that she literally didn't act in anything else until 2007, when she appeared in the TV movie Ballet Shoes, a film that landed mixed reviews and didn't do a whole lot for her career. In public, the Harry Potter series was going from strength to strength, but behind the scenes, the cracks were starting to show. Watson and the others were burned out by the constant demands of filming and promotional tours, and when it came time to renegotiate her contract after the Goblet of Fire, she seriously considered leaving the franchise altogether. Still, she was eventually convinced to sign on again. It's amazing what a multi-million-dollar paycheck can do for a girl, isn't it? And by 2011, the series came to a close with Deathly Hallows Part 2. For the first time in more than a decade, Watson was on her own. She'd basically grown up with Harry Potter, she'd never had a normal childhood or lived a normal life, and she likely never would. Keep that one in mind because it'll be important later. The question now was how to escape the long shadow of Hermione Granger and forge a career of her own. Her first few outings were mostly low-budget indie movies, everything from biopics like My Week with Marilyn to romantic dramas like The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and even heist movies like Bling Ring. None of them...
I don't know anything about any of these movies. I've literally never heard of them. I'm not talking shit. I just don't know anything about movies. I don't watch movies, really, to be honest. I don't watch that much. It's only when, like, my mom makes me watch a movie That's
More
about
big
it.
hits, but they did at least prove that she could be more than a mildly annoying bookworm with crappy hair. 2014 saw her move into big budget filmmaking with Darren Aronofsky's Noah, followed up by low budget thrillers Colonia and Regression. No matter the budget or the quality of the movie, one thing that stayed consistent were the positive reviews for Watson's acting. Now in her mid-20s and arguably at the peak of her career, she was developing a reputation as an eclectic and confident performer, willing to take on challenging roles and play against type, equally at home on the big or the small screen. An actor who wasn't just chasing fame and money, but taking on projects with actual artistic merit. Well done, Emma. Her star was rising. She was rapidly becoming the new it girl of Hollywood. Young, talented, intelligent, and sophisticated, she could navigate interviews like a pro. She was a natural in front of the camera, and she held all the correct opinions on important political topics. When the Me Too movement kicked off, Emma was all over it like a fly on shit, making speeches about feminism, establishing activism groups, and even getting appointed to the UN as their goodwill ambassador.
It's actually so crazy to me how, like, it's crazy to me how these famous people, they have so much attention already, right? They make so much money. They have so much attention. Everyone fucking adores them, right? And it's like not enough for them. Like, it's not enough for them. Like, they have to like seek even more validation through talking about shit that they have no fucking clue about. Like every time. And just like basically pulling like let's see which way the wind is blowing, and then that's what I'm gonna think, basically. They don't like think for themselves. It's so annoying.
For women, because truly no one understands the plight of women in repressive third world regimes better than a multi-millionaire, privately educated theatre kid Hollywood actress that's never held a normal job in her entire life.
Really?
But more on that later.
Yep.
Pretty soon, Watson wasn't content just to make speeches in front of rooms full of elderly politicians who probably wish they were literally anywhere else.
This is a problem, by the way. I don't really blame her. I blame all of these like politicians using these people, like to just like propping them up and making it seem like their opinion is like important in the matter.
She was bringing her activism directly into the movies she starred in. The live-action Beauty and the Beast was rewritten at her request to make Belle into an inventor and engineer because
Bring back female heroes that just have feminine traits. Just bring it back. Like, can we stop having to make every single like girl like into like a masculine sided like girl boss? I'm so tired of it. Like, this is why like I love like the Atelier series of games. Like, you have a lot of like these like really feminine protagonists, and then you have like for instance, like in Goblin Slayer, like the cleric girl. Really, I love that. I love that. I'm so tired. And the thing is that, guys, don't get me wrong. I love me a knight girl. Like, I love knight girl, like rogue girl. I love like those kind of like boss type girl characters. But I just feel like actually feminine characters are actually so underappreciated. Yeah, again, I have no problem with tomboy characters, but like, I just feel like, why do these people hate women? That's what I'm. Why do they hate women so much? Am I the only one that thinks that? Like, they hate what women bring to the table. It's actually so weird. It's so weird that like in the name of feminism, they hate everything that they hate, like they hate the things that women uniquely bring to the table. Yeah, feminism is make everything masculine. Yeah, which is weird.
because
It's not cool. I think it's cool. I love like those kind of it's like I said, I love like those support like female characters. I love them a lot. They're some of my favorite characters. In fact, like not really a plug because it's not done yet, but I'm writing a book right now. I can tell you the name of it. It's called The Real Hero is My Childhood Friend, and it's about like a hero, like a boy who's like a boy and a girl, and they're like childhood friends. And it's a fantasy novel, and it's about how the guy is a hero, but like he understands that the reason he can be a hero is because the girl takes care of him. That's like the whole story, basically. And she's like a healer. And so like every time he goes out on an adventure and he gets hurt, she heals him. And it's the story about how like he comes to the realization that like he can't really do much without her, and she just basically is like the avatar of like all of the positive female traits that I like, basically. Yeah. And actually, if you play Moraine, those characters are those characters in that story are actually guarding the Princess Cherry. If you guys know who Princess Cherry is from Moraine, the one who's like giving everybody free shit. Her guards are actually that guy and that girl are actually her guards right now. Yeah, in the story, they're members of Angel Sword in the story, like the guild, the Angel Sword Guild.
Girls get it done.
Her
not really
political
spoilers.
worldview could best be described as I support current thing, also known as the Mark Ruffalo technique.
Gay!
Was it gay? Which two? It's Zoa and Eclair. Eclair is the main girl. Zoa's the guy. Puil is their teammate. There's like 4 of them in the party. There's like Eclair, who's like the healer girl. There's Zoa, who's the fighter. And then there's Puil, who's like the... There's actually art of Puil. Puil is like this guy. This one's Puil. And then there's a girl named Maya. And Maya's a rabbit folk girl, and she's a tomboy. And she thinks she's very hot. That's like the whole... anyway, that's the character. It doesn't really matter really for anything in the lore, but they'll probably show up in the novel whenever I start working on it. But I never finished the Eclair like novel yet. But the Eclair novel is basically about how like the guy is like, and it's kind of like it's kind of like it goes like in the story, basically, like the guy, he realizes like that you know, he always believes that it's like the girl is the only reason that like he's actually able to like do well in anything. But then it like kind of feeds a loop where like he basically realizes like I have to get better, so that's not the case. Does that make sense? He's like, I have to get better so that I can protect her too, basically. That's the whole story.
No matter the issue, no matter the complexity or the nuance, you could pretty much guarantee that Emma Watson would be right there in the thick of it, pushing whatever the progressive consensus happened to be at the time. She was less of a person with her own opinions and ideas, and more like a series of safe, politically correct talking points wrapped up in a flesh suit, all delivered with the kind of sneering, upper-class British disdain that can only truly come from playing life on easy mode from the day she was born. But just like an overloaded cauldron filled with the wrong ingredients, problems were a-brewing, dear viewer. Remember the lady who wrote all those wizarding books? Well, it turns out she'd become quite rich and famous over the years, and as a big raging progressive feminist herself, she and Emma were marching in lockstep on almost every issue. All except one.
Oh my
it turns
God,
out that
dude.
the wizarding lady...
You can agree with them on everything, and then you have one disagreement that's over. It's friendship over. One single thing. That's like how crazy their Puritanism is. They literally are incapable of disagreeing with people or anything without hating them. It's so
had
crazy.
a few issues with the T part of LGBT and began voicing
I
her
can't even imagine being like that. Like being like, I can't be friends with anyone that isn't literally me. Honestly, I think you guys are right, chat. I think it's just narcissism. I think they just have like insane narcissism.
concerns with increasing volume. And the reaction from the other side was, well, how can I put this? Now Emma was in a
It's like Hell's Chorus.
Bit of a tricky spot, because she'd made it her mission in life to support Current Thing, but now the wizarding lady who she owed her entire career and stardom to was openly attacking one of the most sacred parts of Current Thing. What to do? Should she stand firm beside her friend of 20 years and back her up? Should she maintain a dignified silence and refuse to get drawn into a fight that wasn't hers? Or
She should have, at the very minimum, just fucking shut her mouth. Am I wrong? She should shut her mouth. Like, at the very minimum. Like, if you're too pussy to, like, protect your friend, you should at least shut your mouth.
should she turn her back on the wizarding lady, hang her out to dry, and make increasingly passive-aggressive attacks against her? I think you can guess which one she chose. And the thing is, that all worked great when Emma seemed to be on the side of...
I mean, I disagree with a lot of my friends on a lot of things. Like, I have a lot of friends who are super pro-abortion. Like, I hate abortion. You don't see me going on May and being, like, freaking calling them out. You know what I mean? Like,
Current Thing, and the
ridiculous.
wizarding lady definitely wasn't. The problem with Current Thing, though, is that eventually it tends to change, and by 2025, the cultural winds had shifted dramatically. Public opinion on the issue was changing, and
all three of them hung Rowling out to dry. It's like they didn't need her anymore or something. You know, it's almost like it was transactional to them the entire time. Then they actually, it's like, once J.K. Rowling was no longer of use to them, they just threw her out.
suddenly the wizarding lady wasn't seen as the evil witch who had to be defeated anymore. Now people were beginning to actually listen and even openly support her, and it began to occur to Emma that she might have backed the wrong horse on this one.
Fuck.
So what to do? Stand her ground and maintain her position even if it wasn't so popular anymore? Or do a complete about-face and pretend like she'd never disagreed with the wizarding lady in the first place? Well, the answer came on September the 24th on Jay Shetty's On Purpose podcast, where Emma claimed that she loved the wizarding lady and supported her and would always be open to talking with her.
Wait, what?
Bullshit!
Oh,
Wait, what? She said that? Wasn't she talking mad shit, though?
really? That's interesting coming from someone who spent half a decade publicly shitting on her. Now, if you were feeling forgiving, you could probably write this whole thing off as a slightly cowardly but very pragmatic decision by someone who senses the political sands moving beneath her and doesn't want to get pulled down by them. And that might have been all she wrote, except this particular interview came to the attention of the wizarding lady, who until now had stayed pretty quiet on the topic of young Emma. Not anymore, as it turned out, when she decided to deliver the mother of all dressing downs a couple of days later in a very lengthy Twitter post calling out Watson as a spineless grifter, a shameless opportunist, a fair weather friend, and a spoiled privileged...
Holy shit, hold on, I gotta read this whole thing. Where is this at? Let's take a look-sees. I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played the character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson's and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with the loss of work, violence, or death because of them. However, Emma and Dan in particular... which one's Dan? Dan, is that Harry? That's Harry, right? However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our formal professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting in Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. When you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who needed to be gently coaxed through their dialogue in a big, scary film studio. Over the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech and in truth was a turning point for me. But it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained a single sentence. I'm so sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number. This was back when the death, grape, and torture threats against me were at their peak. At a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma had just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Like other people who have never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little. Oh shit. Holy fuck. Emma has so little experience of real life that she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. Holy shit. Damn. She's going like all in. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed in a mixed sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in the high street changing room since childhood. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off for a newly mixed sex changing room at a council run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state run grape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service, to find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into the women's prison? I wasn't a multi-millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience that what the trashing of women's rights, in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated, means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite fashionable as it was, I might have never been this honest. Damn. Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, then assert that. Dude, that's so true, dude. That is so true. How can you be friends with somebody that is like a part of a movement that is saying things like that? This is kind of kind of what changed my stance too, lately, like in the last 20 days, literally, right? 21 days. Has changed kind of my stance on like how I feel about like people I would formally have like kind of just disagreed with on stuff. It seems quite obvious that a lot of them really would wish that you died, and that for some reason this sort of glamour of friendship is the only thing that prevents them from wanting you to die. And it's been kind of eye-opening for me, in that I used to think that I could get along with people that I disagree with quite heavily, but I don't think that that's the case anymore. I mean I can still get along with people that I disagree with, but I think like if they're that far that they would be happy that someone died, I can't be friend. Like that's somebody who like shares like almost all the same beliefs as me. If they're happy that that guy died, we can't even be close to friends at that point. Because I don't want to be friends with, I don't want to invest any of my time and effort into somebody who would literally want me to die. And the only thing, again, between it is like this sort of veil of friendship. And I don't even know what that means anymore, you know? Adults can't expect to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination and then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightly free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I had the same right and I have finally decided to exercise it. Dude. Fuck yeah. Anyway, we'll go back to this.
Brat that had never worked a day in her life and was only trying to cozy up to her again because it was politically safe now.
shenanigans.
Damn, bro, I've seen Mortal Kombat fatalities that were more forgiving than this. I've
Yeah, it
seen
was
many a
scathing.
debate, many a scathing put down and brutal rebuttal in my time, but never in all of my days have I witnessed a person publicly dismantled with such brutal finesse. It wasn't just a takedown, it was a full-scale verbal evisceration, and proof that if there's one group of people you really don't want to piss off in the online space, it's fucking writers. Especially
That's true. She wrote that shit really well. Like the insults in there were like they were just hard enough without being like, what's the word? Vile, like so openly. It's like the way it was written was like, it wasn't like just straight up crude insult, right? It was like
billionaire writers with hundreds of millions of fans behind them who built their entire careers out of basically nothing. With that one post, Emma Watson's public persona was transformed from a slightly preachy but relatively respected activist to the living personification of everything that people find so repellent about Hollywood actors.
Wait, so was there like actually like a big backlash against her? Like in terms of popularity?
The smug, patronizing, I know better than you attitude, the echo chamber mentality that comes from a life.
Wait, hold up. People are just realizing now that she's smug? I knew that a long time ago. I knew that when I was a kid.
Privilege and luxury, the mindlessly predictable conformity masquerading as sophisticated intellectualism, and worst of all, the willingness to abandon any position the moment it becomes unpopular. She wasn't just opinionated and insufferable, she was a coward. And for someone who built their entire brand on fearlessly speaking truth to power, well, that was the most damaging revelation of all. So what's next for Emma Watson? Can she possibly claw her way back from this? Well, her movie career basically ended 5 years ago when she pulled the plug on
That is true though. It is kind of weird to be like, oh, I really dislike this person to the point of being like, well, to do that like kind of weird, like underhanded call out of like, well, except for one witch, like you do that. And then you pass her a note saying like, I hope you're doing okay. That's fucking weird, dude. Like that's so weird.
To focus on activism, so I don't really know if there's any momentum left behind her, even if she wanted to make a comeback. She's 35 now, which isn't exactly old, but it ain't exactly young either, and it's definitely not a good age to try to build your career back up after wasting your prime years in the wilderness. She's not likely to make much progress as an activist either now that her cover's been blown and she's willing to soften her position on the whole tea issue, because if there's one thing that particular group of activists won't accept,
you say she's a hag, bro?
It's betrayal. So it kind of feels like she's fucked either way. Emma Watson really is proof that if you stand for nothing, well, you'll fall for anything. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Man. You know what though? Good for Rowling being able to actually. I totally understand that sentiment though, like just not wanting to actually like attack someone who you've seen as your friend for like a while, right? Like you don't really want to go after them. Like I kind of get that. I'll send you guys a video.